In this video, I want to go over a crucial idea, and that is that not all advice is created equal. This is super important in organic chemistry and every other sphere of your life. So you're going to get advice throughout your life about relationships, about finances, about career, about study strategies, about organic chemistry, about medical school, about dental school, law school, pharmacy school, whatever, right? Everybody will give you advice, and advice is given freely. Unfortunately, though, most of the times, advice does not have skin in the game, meaning anybody who gives you advice is not responsible for what happens or the consequences of you following their advice. There is no skin in the game. They don't have any vested interest in the outcomes themselves. They can just walk away and be like, oh, it didn't work for you because you're doing something wrong. I didn't do that wrong, right? And so it's very important to qualify individuals that give you advice and vet them before you accept any particular individual's advice. Now, the example that I have of why this is so important to recognize that not all advice is created equal are two great tennis legends, two GOATs in their craft, and that is Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, right? And so both of them are phenomenal tennis players, but they have a slightly different style. Roger Federer is actually left eye dominant. And so what he needs to do is to actually turn his head to see the ball, to see his racket hit the ball, right? Whereas Novak is actually right eye dominant. He does not need to turn his head. His head actually stays pretty much on that same axis the entire match. And so tennis players who are looking up to these individuals as models, right? They have to recognize that their styles are going to vary based on the circumstances of the individual, whether you're left eye or right eye dominant. Now, this might seem something very, very small, but imagine the marginal gains of adding each of these little individual stylistic differences. Maybe somebody could have been a phenomenal tennis player, but they kept getting the worst advice from a coach who told them, no, this is the way it needs to be done, and you're sticking with this strategy. And this is why it's super important, again, to have a coach that recognizes those subtle differences between individuals, personalities, temperaments, circumstances, backgrounds, but also can tailor that advice to you and recognize that there are different styles based off individuals, right? Another case might be an introvert versus an extrovert. Imagine an extrovert going his whole life giving his time and energy to people and almost regretting it, or almost saying they should have focused on themselves more and not given so much to others. They might give the advice to somebody younger, hey, focus on yourself less or more, and be more in solitude rather than amongst people. And so that advice might be great for another young extrovert. But if you give that advice to an introvert, it would actually create problems. An introvert is by themselves all day. Their challenge is to actually connect more and go outside of their comfort zone. So if an introvert starts on one end of the spectrum and an extrovert is on the other, to find balance, you need to work towards opposite directions. And so you have to recognize that people are going to be different. And so if somebody's scaling a mountain and there is a rugged terrain on this side and another mountain climber, he has to wade through a lake on that side, their advice is going to be different. Both of them are hoping to achieve the aim of reaching the top, but what they've been through, where they're coming from, necessitates a different style of action. And so what I want to impress upon you today is it is very, very important for who you model off yourself of, and then also be discerning in order to do that. Now, let me share with you a couple pointers on how to figure out if the person is good at giving advice or if you should take advice from that person. The first thing is, did they achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve? If somebody's here, right, and just talking, right, and he's giving you advice from there, never climbed the mountain whatsoever. This person does not deserve you listening to them. It's great. You can hear them out, but humor them, whatever, but they did not reach the top of the mountain, so you can't give them advice. So the first thing that I look for is individuals who have done it, who have achieved what it is you are looking to achieve. Objectively, their life around them has what it is that you want. If it does not, no matter what they say, their advice is going to be filtered by their bias, and if they didn't achieve the results, you will not gain as much insight from them as somebody who has. That's the first thing. The second thing is to look for people who have helped other people get that same advice. It's one level to have gotten that advice yourself. Maybe you didn't know that there were different styles, and so you were just doing your own thing and you got to the top. But it's another level for you to be able to recognize how to get multiple people up to the top of the mountain with you. So if you were that guy who led multiple people and showed multiple people in that space how to achieve results, then that is the gold standard advice. Not only did you accomplish what it is that you set out to accomplish, but you also brought people along with you. Those are the most credible individuals because they've done it multiple times with multiple different people, and they can do it with you as well. So be wary of who you take advice from. You do not, it is not okay to be taking advice from people who are on the same path as you, who hope to do the same thing that you want to do. Why? Because they have not achieved the goal yet. And so take what they say with a grain of salt and be better at vetting other people when they give you advice. This is super important when it comes to study strategy. This is super important when it comes to time management. This is super important when it comes to applying to grad schools, to taking certain courses, so on and so forth, right? It's crucial that you get this skill down. Not all advice is created equal, and if you make that mistake, you could spend the rest of your life taking a litany of different advice from people who do not have the qualifications to give you so, and you will therefore underperform and not reach your full potential.